First thing, I'm going to go ahead and give both of these plates a white backdrop. 2 generous coats each. And so now I'm just going to let these set. Because right now, if you can tell, it's a very glossy surface. And I want to get more of that suede. That suede stage is what I'm looking for. I'm ready to begin the second plate. I'm going to go along with using a variation of the image in different colors. Figure I'm going to put white slip on my red side, and on the black, I'm going to go ahead and use my pinks and reds to fill up the slip and then bring the two together. Because I'm not going to do anything extra monotype wise to my red side, I'm going to go ahead and brush the slip on. You can go ahead and stick it on there. See how it becomes tricky? It's heavy, it's wet. So the more you handle the material, the more you'll be able to understand how to control it. So I'll go ahead and place it down. It's on there. I'm gently just applying it. I'm not going to worry about adding or spritzing the flowers yet, because as it sits, the moisture will work its way through the underglaze. Now for my black screen printed area, I like to color in maybe some of this pink color, maybe where this flower is right here. Now I'm going to be loose. I'm not going to worry about staying within the lines completely. Your eye's already going to rest where the black graphic is of the rose. And so even if my color of my pink goes beyond it, you're going to acknowledge, you're going to know what it is. I'll let that second coat dry. I'm going to do a third one, but I'll let that dry. And go ahead and do some more of these little circular areas. You can see that I'm going beyond the circle. And that's fine. Once again, it's foreground to background. Whatever I paint over the black is going to cover up because I'm going to transfer it, and the pink will then stay hidden behind it. So you can be pretty loose with this part. While that sets, now I'll come back over here, kind of get a feel. Now while you're doing this at home, you're going to notice about 3 different stages. Super wet, where you can even just move the moisture off the surface of the newsprint paper. Damp, where you can feel that it's cool, but you're still feeling the pulp and the paper of the newsprint. And then there's dry, and that's where it's like where you see all this whiteness right here. When you touch it, it's dry. When it's in that medium stage where you can't move that moisture anymore, that's a good time to kind of burnish it. First, I'm going to start with just the red rib. And by doing this, I begin seeing where there's air pockets within the surface. Be sure to get the edge. If you scrape any of your slip away, that's fine. You can brush a little bit more there. What's important is to get a nice clean transfer and to burnish the image down. Take your sharp X-Acto, puncture, cut through where those air pockets are. And there's going to be tons of them. I just try to find the large ones, and then I'll just use the pony roller later to flatten out the rest. Continue to let that sit. I'm in no rush. However, this side's going to have dark red. Because I'm using long, thin strokes, I'm going to go ahead and do a second coat, a little bit thicker. And it's the engobe too. So maybe having this little extra moisture will help it release from the paper. I'll let this set up for a sec with the heat gun, and then I'll go ahead and transfer it right on. Come over it, have an idea of where it's going to go, right there. And just like before, now I'm just going to let it set. I might use the heat gun on it for a little bit, find those air pockets, and then I'll be right back when I'm ready to peel off the paper. So my paper's about ready. I can give it one overall burnishing. The pony roller. The big reveal. Peel away slowly. You can see ever so slightly. When it's wet, it's harder to tell, but where I painted the rose pink, as it begins to dry, the colors will really reveal themselves. Let's see the red side. Because there is some slip pop up, I'm going to tap it with my finger first. Still a little soft, but it's fine enough to go ahead and put a piece of newsprint on. We'll flatten down whatever those little slip tags, rub them back down. At this point, I'm ready to go ahead and start forming my plates. So I'm going to clear off my table, and I'll be right back to show you how to construct your hand-built plates. On my banding wheel, I'm going to prop up using just about 1 inch or 2 inch materials. In my studio, I just grab whatever's handy. And so in this case, I'm just using the small containers of underglaze. I pre-wiped my plaster bats just to make sure that there was no clay chunks on them, because if there is, it might transfer it into your plate. I'm going to place my plaster bat down onto my image carefully. And when your slab is a bit larger than your plaster bat, you have a little bit more wiggle room of what you want to do. I like the black imagery a lot more, so I'm going to err on the side of having more of that on my plate. Flip, sometimes help it out with my fingers. Looks like it's off the board. And at this point, I'll start using my pony roller to compress it down onto the form. This extra compression helps prevent from warping. So as I work, I'm moving and warping the clay that I'm touching. It might create some distortion to the image that's in contact with the plaster, but oftentimes I don't find that's the case. The only time that I alter the image is when I have something that has more volume of a form, like a bowl. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about the compression now. I'm going to kind of smooth out all those roller marks. That's really up to you. Use my squirt bottle, my trusty pink lion, and now I'm just going to smooth that all out. I have my handy dandy clay trimmer, which is just a cheese cutter with a little plastic wheel taken out. I'm going to go around the edge lightly enough where I'm not digging into the plaster mold. What I'd like to show you all now is how to apply a foot ring to the bottom of your plate, as seen here where I've already completed one plate. I'm going to take my calipers and I'm going to keep my arm stiff and fixate the bottom part of the calipers about halfway down the plaster bat, and I'm just going to give it a spin. And my line remains consistent. I'm good. So from here, grab my serrated rib, and I'm just going to go along the interior of that line. Put some slip on it, let it sit. Pre-rolled out coil. If you prefer, you can extrude a coil. I'm going to give a light little tap on the edge close to me. Give a little bit of a tapered feel. The side that's thicker, I'm just going to run the rib down. And just do a little bit of a slip on the bottom. I'm going to start compressing and pinching down. Cut off at a little angle. Score and slip the ends. Press. And while that link, that connection sets, I might go ahead and use a sponge, a little bit of water, and soften and compress the foot ring down. Now I'm expecting for where I combined or conjoined the two ends it to be a bit thicker. That kind of just smooths it out. You like to use the corner of a yellow mud tools rib. That corner gives me just a nice soft angle to both compress and refine the edge of where the coil meets the plate. I like to say that I'm not looking for a perfect foot ring. As long as it just lays flat on the table, I'm happy. I like the little unrefined ring. It's one of the joys that I have with hand building, and leaving just the little subtleties of imperfections. Give me just a soft compression. And I'm going to take wear board, place it on top, kind of pound it around to give it a little evenness with the surface. And I'm looking at the edge because I'm trying to pound down. I'm not smacking it down. I'm just giving a little bit of pressure, a little thump to even out that ring. Lift it up. It's a little flat again. It's up to you. You can leave it I like to kind of soften it back up, just the edges, so it's not too square or angular. Sometimes I'll go back with the metal rib and again refine it a bit more after I've used the yellow. I know that after the bisque state that I'm going to stain it. So like having a bit of that groove for it to fall into. An edge, not too soft. And then I just kind of leave it like that. So I'm going to flip them both over now. And then next I'll just kind of go through, and where it's flat on the edge, on the side there, I want to round it out. So I'll use my Surform. And I come in ever so slightly into the image, so that way the clay rim, the unslipped rim, has a little bit more definition. It's kind of prominent instead of just being an afterthought on the side. Your eye kind of follows along with it.